Hello.
Hello.
It feels like that TV show when we were kids. I don't even remember what it was called, but when they wave and they look in the mirror, like, oh, who's here today?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome. Happy Monday. Good morning. I am going to pull up my phone just to see also the Facebook feed in the group. So we are on bonus day, bonus day, bonus day 8 today. And we're going to do a hot seat session. So we get to do a hot seat session with Anna Billidad. And there's Virginia. Now
And
she's in.
her last name is pronounced Billiald.
Yeah, I changed it.
Billidad.
My autocorrect changed it. I just tagged her because then I knew it was correct.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I giggled at that. Sorry. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. And
Welcome.
Virginia's coming in from Canada now. So from Panama to Canada.
Notice the woolies. Big difference
I
in
know.
attire. Yeah.
Yeah. How was getting off the plane, Virginia?
Oh my goodness. You know what? Actually, in the airport, it wasn't horrible because you're in the airport, right? And you're like, where am I going? And lots of things have changed. So it's also all of that. But so it wasn't bad in the airport until I went to go get in the car, and it was like, oh, that's fresh. Definitely fresh.
With the wind chill, it was minus 25 yesterday. So you probably came from plus 25 or 30 or
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It's so amazing. I mean, when you really think about it, how in like a 12-hour span, I mean, I was sweating yesterday morning, like sweating because I'm trying to get myself ready and you're trying to, what have I forgotten? And it was such a hot day in Panama. It's summer there. And I was sweating and I was so looking forward to going to the airport and having the air conditioner on. And then in, 12 hours later, it's like freezing, like just so like a full on 60-degree swing in temperature. It was bizarre. It's interesting and cool to think when you think about it, how neat that is. In that span of time, we can get on a plane and fly through the sky, in a piece of metal that's normally would not be able to do that. So yeah, all those, I try to remember all those crazy cool things that come from that, rather than the, oh my god, it's so cold.
Mm-hmm. It's like so fascinating, that we can do that. It always surprises me. Like when I'm, that we can fly around the world, that we can go like exactly even in a day. Like if you're going, I have gone to Africa and some other big places, and you're like, wow, that only took a day. Like that's amazing. And then such a shift of, I grew up in Alaska, so it was always like we would go somewhere hot, and even Hawaii, like 3-hour plane ride to Hawaii was like, this is even possible. Oh my gosh. So
yeah, and it's like this is in the same world. Like it feels also very dreamy or something. I don't know. And it's like when we're on here and we're doing a live and I go back and I read comments or whatever, and or you're on another live or whatever, and there's someone that's, oh, hi, we're on in the morning and there's someone saying, good evening, it's nighttime or dinner time here at this part of the world, and it's like, that is so super cool that we are able to connect. Like it still amazes me to no end.
Yes. And I know we are bringing Anna on really shortly. So we're going to do a hot seat for her. We're going to hear what she wants for her business. We're going to tune into what really is needed for her business. And so I don't know if she's in the backstage. She is. Okay. Yes. So let's pull her up.
Right. Let's bring up Anna.
All hello.
Right. Good morning.
Hi, Anna. Good morning.
So exciting to be here.
Right on. Congrats on winning. So we had 3 winners total. Tara is in school, and Tracy Berry, she wasn't available this morning. So we'll do a call with her for her winnings. So thank you, Anna, for being here, and grateful that you work from home, flexible schedule to be here with us. So this is really awesome. So you and I mean, we have been in coaching together, and you have a business. Do you want to just maybe share a little bit about, you can share kind of what your journey has been even over the last 2 months, and a little bit about your business.
Well, I am an RMT, registered massage therapist. I have been for 10 years. So I've been helping people heal on the outside a lot. But what I have noticed over the years is that people are really carrying a lot of emotional baggage and stress and anxiety and what it's doing to them. My own journey started 2007 when I had breast cancer, and I started to look within and the power of healing yourself. And I think I've just increasingly been a little bit more discontent with my own business, helping people massage wise, because I feel like there's a whole nother level for them to get to, and they're just not seeing it. And I see it, and it's really hard to watch them suffer when I'm thinking, you're really putting yourself through a lot when you don't have to be. And so lately I've been trying to figure out a way to take it online, help people from a distance, help them heal from the inside out. They have that power in them. They just don't know it. And it feels like my next chapter. It's destiny for me. I'm ready to make it happen.
Awesome. That's so exciting.
It came along, and it was like, boom.
Good. Do you have we had talked earlier, so do you want to share your questions that you have for us today?
Yes. I am struggling with a couple of things as I consider launching this new coaching business, helping people. And one is aligning myself up with the right clients where I will feel happy throughout my day. I don't want to feel like I'm struggling. I want it to all flow really nicely. I want it to be fun. So I'm at a point now where it's like, well, who will I help? Who is it who I feel like everybody needs this, but I can't help everybody, right? So I need to narrow it down to who's gonna mesh well with me, and so that I can go target that audience and let them know that I'm here.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. What are kind of some of the variables, or what does your heart say as far as who you want to help?
If I don't stop and think about it too much, I feel women around the ages in the 20s somewhere that are starting out in life. I feel like if I had known more of what I know now when I was that age, I may have really done life a little bit differently. I would have paid more attention to me and what I was feeling and my triggers and my inner work, which I didn't even know I needed inner work back then. So probably when I really don't stop and think too hard about it, that would be my first geography, demographic, that's right.
Right. Maybe Virginia, would you like to speak to how you can maybe go within to get that answer? Some advice you have for Anna, and then Dr. G, if you would like to go after.
Thank you. Sure. Cool. So I don't know if I mean I know what you're saying, that you want to how do you find these people, and my first response to that was they find you. And going within, doing that meditation, continuing with this and saying, how do I show up in the world? What do I need to say or do today to show up in the world for the people who need to see me? So and just like Dr. G talked about that too, right? Just, what message is it coming from within, coming from your higher self, doing that connecting and bringing that out into the world, doing a live, doing a post, creating your program. Let that, divine guidance come in and show you how to show up. And in like Dr. G did with the the pulling, like and I visualize myself as a magnet. It's like I'm out there in the world, and I'm just, whoever needs me will find me, and just being open to that. Yeah, Christine said it. Our soul aligned clients find us, and so just putting yourself out there so that they can find you, and just you can't take responsibility for their success or failure, because I say that just because when you had talked about your clients and your massage clients, you want them, you want them to do these changes because you know that it can be better. But people aren't going to do anything until they're darn well good and ready to hear it, for starters. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I would say with that also, don't stop talking. Don't stop telling them, even though they may not be listening, or it may not seem like they're listening. Don't stop talking to them and telling them those little things that they can do, inside to help the work outside, and continue with that. It's like your kids, like, do you tell your kid, don't touch that once? Rarely.
True.
Right?
Yes.
So you just need to keep repeating it. Even as adults, sometimes we're not tuned in to the full conversation. So, so yeah, just that would be my piece on that.
Thank you. So from a business perspective, don't stress or worry too much over who I'm going to reach. Do the things first and let that organically happen.
Yes, exactly. And creating those conversations, staying open to receive, right? Because when, what I've noticed is that you have a whole new set of people that show up in your radar. And it's like, wow, where did that person come from? And just being curious about it and being open to, to letting them in, right? And just having conversations and that kind of stuff. Because it's amazing where that leads. It's amazing.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like it.
Yeah. And I love that our soul aligned clients find us. I think personally, as far as your branding goes, when you're putting yourself out there, you do need to know, is it a 20-year-old or is it a 55-year-old? So I would say a little bit like open yourself up, go in, get aligned, but in your branding, a 25, if you're focused on a 20-year-old, then your branding is going to be much different than focusing on a 55-year-old.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I always am coached to know my clients. When I open up a program, who is this for? Is it for clinicians? Is it for coaches? And where are they in their business? Are they at 4 figures? Are they at 5 figures? So I can get juicy, because even if you know that, there's thousands of people, if not millions of people in that category. So, and because you're going online, you're not limiting, you're just letting the universe know, it's 25-year-olds. This is where they are. This is how I see them growing. This is what's happening. That's still a million people, so you're not limiting by actually calling in that ideal client. So I do focus more on, like, I'm not going for everyone. I'm not going for people in super poverty consciousness. They have to have taken some steps to come into a place of leadership so that they could be in my healing certification program. Because if they're not showing up in their life, then I'm pulling them and I'm like, come on, I can see your journey for you. I can see where you're supposed to be. And it's like you said with the massage therapist, that's how I was in my naturopathic acupuncture clinics. I'm like, I can see where they're supposed to go. But the difference is, if they can't see where they're going, we can put seeds in, but we cannot pull them. It does not matter. Like, so planting teeny seeds, and it's the same for my programs. I can see where every person is I can see their fullest expression, But in part of my qualifying questions now is if they cannot see it for themselves, I'm not the right fit yet, because I will want to pull them and convince them and show them. And that's not fun.
Right.
That's not fun. That's like, what the, then I'm taking responsibility for their growth. You know, and so I do feel that getting in alignment with, deciding, and I like that you said, without thinking too much, it would be that 20 to 25-year-old. Awesome. You know how many people are not reaching those 20 to 25-year-olds? A lot. So how do you position yourself to be, that's a totally different branding than a 55-year-old.
Yeah.
Which is also a huge population that is not, I'm coaching with somebody that she really wants the postmenopausal women as far as leading businesses, because, a lot of people will be like, well, you're postmenopausal, we're just going to put you on the shelf and, you're done. Whereas in my opinion, the postmenopausal women are actually the magic makers. They are shamans. They are like the gatekeepers. They are like the spiritual mamas, right? Yeah. And so we need to be and so that's like, we need to be enlivening them and awakening the 2020 because we need the 20-year-olds awake for where we're going. And so, deciding that and then just being like getting excited about who that is, because you're still not limited if you have a 20 to 25-year-old that's what your branding is focused at and that's who you're reaching. Then you have an idea, oh, I'm going to go to this group. Oh, I'm going to go into this group. Oh, I'm going to go into this group. Like, you're consistently showing up in your branding, talking to that person. And then it gives you a better idea of like, if you're just open to everybody, you're not going to know which Facebook groups to kind of guest in. You're going to be like, I don't even know. But if you're like 20 to 25-year-old, where are they? Who's supporting them? What are they listening to? What are they watching? And then you're like, oh, there's thousands in this Facebook group. Awesome. I might be, so part of your fun positioning is like, I might be a 40-year-old woman in my business, but this is why I'm here helping 20 to 25-year-olds. So
I have three daughters who are all in their 20s.
Right.
And I feel like I want to just transport everything I have learned and know into their brains so that but I know that everybody has to go through their own journey, because you have to go through the lessons to learn it from the inside yourself. So I just, that age group, they're so stressed right now. That's just rampant, and it's sad. It's sad because they're really missing out on freedom. Basically, they have their whole life that they can create before them, but they're not going to figure it out until they're like 40.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like you just, I love how God source gives us what we need to learn how to show up. And you just explained it beautifully. You've got these three beautiful girls that in their 20s that need that guidance. And I know 100% that you're there with them for that. And again, right? How many times have you told your kids something once?
It's true, but they don't. Mom is the last person they want to listen to, though. I know nothing.
But I know. And you know what? I always used to joke, and my mom did too. It's funny how much smarter we become as the older we get, and that's from the eyes of our children, right? The eyes of our children are like, you don't know nothing, like as young adults, right?
Yeah.
And it will change, because you know what? Let them have that idea, because that's a part of their journey to learn and stuff. But you're always there, to answer them when they're ready. And
I feel like they're very inundated with the technology, the phones, in general. They are just so bombarded with all of that negative programming, and nobody is showing them where their hope is. They're walking around lost. It's almost like they're just,
zombies.
Little robots. And it's sad. It's really sad when you listen about all of the young people who are struggling, especially teenagers. But I mean, those teenagers turn into the ones who are looking for the love of their life when they need to be loving themselves first, right? And then they go down that path of that, the husband trying to fulfill the void, and then that doesn't work out. And then it's like, okay, well, what, maybe I need a different career to fulfill me. And then that doesn't work out. And they're not making that connection early enough to flourish. And
Yeah. And they will. It takes time.
There's so much suffering when there doesn't need to be.
Yeah. And when you think of it, though, you know, maybe right now it's not your daughters that are listening, but you know that they need it, and they will come around. But you will find that 20-something-year-old that is ready to hear it. And the beautiful part is that when and how and what you give and share to that person as a coach, that 20-something is going to take it out and share it with their friends.
Yes.
So, you know, so it will happen organically because they're, you know, they're having that conversation. Oh, well, and then now all of a sudden, and I laugh about this because, you know, I'll use one of my sons as an example. You know, I've said something about, you know, getting in touch with yourself, or, you know, going and checking within and looking for those answers, you know, and then he's like, yeah, mom. Right. And then, you know, his friends, and then I'll have another conversation a week later and he'll be like, well, you know, my friend said blah, 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 blah. And it was like literally the exact same things I said, you know, and he's like, I was just like blown, and it was so awesome. And I just go, because he needed to hear it more than once, and he needed to hear it from someone else, just like you said, right? The kids want to, it's like that validation for them that they need to hear it from someone other than you. And then they start to put the pieces together on their own in like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe she's not off her rocker, or, you know, maybe she does know what she's talking about. And, you know, so it's,
just one last thing before we go. I find that, I think that's the struggle inside of me, is that age group is where I would love to touch, but that age group is not financially in a place to invest money into themselves. So that's what's glitching me up, I think. So when I take your approach, Virginia, and I really just align with my own, you know, stay in my own lane, like Christine always says, then whoever from whatever age group will, you know, maybe they won't come to me now, but maybe they'll be following me all along. And when they do get to a certain point, they'll be like, you know, I'm ready to talk to Anna or something like that. I don't know, but I'm going to just focus on, just doing the work on the inside.
And the other thing is focusing, like the parents can also be supportive, right? Because if they're like, Mom, I found this coach that's going to help me do da 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 da, then they're like, but I just don't have the money. Can you help me invest in it? You know, so it's sort of like those, allowing that those people will have some of the channels, because that is a thought of mine. The thing about that age group is that it is hard because a lot of them aren't going to have their own, you know, financial stability to say, oh my gosh, I would love to invest in your $10,000 program. I just don't have it yet. So part of your branding and marketing could be talking to the parents of 20 and 25-year-olds, but it, you know, so there is a little bit of how do you weave that in so that those 20 to 25-year-olds have the financial support, you know, or that you're talking to the 20 to 25-year-olds, but then you have a plan for them to open this as a discussion for like financial backing from their family. If that's a possibility, you know, something that's almost like that's if you know what one of the number one limitations are going to be, then you find a solution for them or a couple, so that it's like, you know, then it's not this big roadblock, and then you just don't do it because you're like, well, they're not going to have the money anyways. But really, what's the workaround? How do you work around it? You know?
Yeah. Also, I suppose if I were focused on women my own age with kids in their 20s and I'm helping them, they're going to pass that on down to their own kids. I guess I could put it that way, right? As we're healing each other in this age group, we're organically going to be passing that on down to our own kids.
You could even run a session where if you do focus on women your age, where maybe once, twice, 3 times a year, you have some kind of an event where they get to bring their daughter. And the daughter can then listen in and share. So they're hearing it from someone different. It's not from the parent. I know that it wasn't until I was 25 where I was like, mom was right. And I thought she was, that she wasn't before that. So that could be one option. Also, I know you're a little limited with time. So I just want to, that last question you had as far as the time frame of your course.
Yes, that's the other thing. I have not a clue what an ideal length of time for a program to coach someone is. Can you do a general overview for somebody and compact it into a smaller amount of days or less money? Or are they really needing to commit to the whole experience? Is there one that's right or wrong or better than the other based on like success of past coaches? Because this is something I really don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. The coaches that we're in or we have been in programs have been year programs, because often when you're going for a transformation, the transformation happens in month 6, 7, 8, depending on what the program is for. But it has to be with what your comfort level is, and having your higher big ticket, so your year program, and then a mini one in case someone isn't ready for the year yet, or maybe they just don't know you enough, is having a smaller offer so that it's kind of like that warm up. It's a shorter time. Still, they'll get a transformation, but it won't be the bigger transformation, would be how I would answer that. So it would be, 6 months, or it could be, a 6-month program that you run twice a year. I had a coach do that. It was 10 grand. And the course was 6 months, but you had a year support. So it was a Facebook group for a year. And then you just repeat the 6-month program, because the information is good to hear it a second time anyways. It was on mindset. Very similar to what you want to teach. Curious, Dr. G, Virginia, can you also speak to that?
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Offer both. So you've got that one little kind of entry program that covers the basics and helps and gets them thinking.
Or not even aware of any of this, but they're eager to look into it. And then there's
and then you've got the full program that they can lead into that if they choose after that, or they might be ready, let's go, I'm in for the full program. So yeah, I would say offer both, because then you're kind of answering to both, maybe both on both a money level and a soul level, right? Those that are, they want to do something but they don't know what, and then those that are ready to go full tilt, and then and financially those that can make this kind of commitment, and those that can make this kind of commitment.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. G, what do you think?
I don't have much to add other than it's figuring it out. So what I did was I created an 8-week course of a business activate and alignment course, and that was live one time. And now I have repurposed it as like $1,000 product, and then as a way to then enroll people into a 6-month mastermind. So they might look at that. They might be able to purchase. Thank you. Breakfast delivered.
You really are
aligned. and so that's like a repackage program. But then I'm really aiming for a 6-month. Like I've tried 8 weeks, I've tried 12 weeks, I've tried once at 3 months. Like the transformations are happening, but they need a longer container. So I would always say don't cut it short, because they actually do need longer to process and create that which they're there to create. So 6 months to a year is really, right now I'm at 6-month programs. That feels good for me. And I do know that there's like a year long out there that will kind of drop in for that as well. So, and I know you're short for time, so I don't want to, if you have to hop off, then
I have to take the dog to the groomer, and I have like 2 minutes to get out of my car, get the dog in, get out, and get out of their way. They're being very, very strict about it. So, thank you. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for all of your insights and enlightenment. I appreciate it.
I'm going to share a little bit about community or the impact, like how important that is. So if you want to come back after and watch it, because it'll apply for you too, Anna.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're
All right.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Bye.
Bye.
So as far as like how long to build your program, for those that are out there, you really, focus on the community. It's the transformation. What transformation are they going to receive? Or if it's, if you're teaching them about money or something like that, like Dr. G has a course on that, it can be a shorter time. It's just, what's your purpose? What is the transformation that you're wanting them to have? And then having that community. The community is so key, because what can happen, and we noticed this with a 6-week program that we did, is that they were doing great and they were moving along. And then after the 6-week program was done, they felt that of like, now they're back to themselves and back to their old programming or in their own thoughts. And it could go either way. You'd be like, I got this, or, just depending on the day or how it goes. And I think by having a community where they're in your Facebook group, whether it's a year, 6 months, whatever that is, when you have a new program or you're up leveling, there's something else you can offer. They're still there. Your existing clients are your best clients, or your hot clients, or hot market, I guess they call it, for when you have something or you're wanting to roll something new out, because they like you, they trust you, they've been with you before. And so they're the ones that are more likely going to buy from you than if you were doing a cold contact, say on Clubhouse or on Instagram or something. So another thing to keep in mind is it's all about that support. And the support doesn't have to take a lot of time for you. Like if you have a 6-month program, so say it's a 6-month class, but they have a year support where they can be in the Facebook group. And the only way that they're getting that one-on time from us as a coach is if they're in that 6-month program or paid, and they can always, add on or, up level to your next tier. I really like kind of like an ascension model, where depending on what you're offering, there's different stages, so that it's not kind of this is one course, it's a one and done. Have some kind of a progression. So, as an example, Dr. G has her Ray of Light for the certification. Her second level or stage is for them to be a teacher, for them to be able to teach the class. So it's good because there's that progression of continuing on. So that's what I had to say about and building business.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Facilitators are really helpful too. Like any of the healers that are out there, there are so many people who are in their awakening stage right now, where they're seeing things, or they're getting downloads, they're having images, and they have no idea what to do with all of that. So as a healer, you can create a course, what teaches them that, but then so teach them or heal them. But then the next phase can be, let's have a facilitator course, or you want to be a coach, or you want to learn how to heal others, where then the next stage could be, the healer, healing the healer, or something like that, that next level. Just something to keep in mind as you're building a program.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that what is possible is that for some people, it's going to be the tiered. Like you said, you don't really like the tier. So that's okay. Like some people like the tiered programs and other people don't. I like it because then if I'm offering a 10K program and someone's like, oh my God, I love what you're doing, how do I just begin? I'm like, oh, I actually have this $1,000 program with 3 investment options, a generous payment plan, I break it into 3. And they're like, oh, okay. Because then they're at least making momentum and they don't drop off totally. They don't go somewhere totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that like having that higher ticket offer is what not only creates financial freedom for the coaches or the program, but the results, right? Because if I'm investing in myself, I'm going to do the work. But if I'm only spending and interestingly, I have a self-study program, and the 2 people that had the lowest investment option are still in that self-study program. And it's almost been a year for one person. And I was like, that's really interesting. I gave somebody kind of a deal and they're still there. Whereas other people that had the fuller investment, they're done. It's 3 months. They're done. They're certified. They're creating their programs. They're out. And so we actually do have to create a way for people to be motivated. Because if we're paying $390, I see some coaches recommending, oh, just offer your program for $397. I'm like, that's great. But if you're looking for them to have a transformation, that $397 will get shelved in their email, and maybe they do it. They get halfway through, they're like done, and they're like, there's just like this opportunity to not accelerate. But if I'm paying $1,500 a month, I'm gonna invest in something. I'm gonna invest in my time. I'm gonna invest with my coaching, or I'm gonna do some type of momentum into it. So
the tiers actually, like I do believe in the tiers, definitely having that smaller program for someone who's not ready for the big jump yet. Where we had chatted about the tiers was, I'm not for the $149 course, that a lot of coaches do out there. That's how they've been taught in the marketing. Let me just add Virginia back in here. They've been taught, create a $47 program or a $97 program, $149. But the thing is, that's a short. There's too much of a short transformation in that. I'd say it's better for them to pay a bigger amount and actually have some more skin in the game, where they are going to show up and they are going to have that transformation. Yeah. But the tiers are good, because then depending on where people are ready, then you have something, they like you, they like the coaching, and then there's an offer there for them.
Yeah. It actually, it's its own funnel, because it opens it up for people.
Totally.
They're like, well, I want one-to-one. I don't want this group. I want the one-to-one. And you're like, great, that's $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
And, but because that's what they're looking for and that fits for them. And then you don't do that for 10 people, or I mean, you could do it for 10, and that's all you're doing. So it gives you like fun, like it gives you flexibility within what you're creating. So
yeah, totally. Good. And I along the same lines of, building our business, this is a business hot seat session for today. We had 2 other winners I mentioned earlier, and we'll meet with them off camera. Just the timing didn't work out for them. But also, when you're looking at the business or what you're creating is, the thought just left me. Hold on. I don't have baby brain. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah, adding consciousness. So I have been in some groups where I love it. There are women, or a couple women that I had heard saying, I have this business, I'd like to spiritualize it. And I'm like, yes, this is a huge market out there, for people who are waking up or realizing what their true soul calling is. That's the whole purpose of this point is, what is your soul calling? What are you here for? Maybe you have a business, or maybe you had a job and you don't like it, and you're meant for more, and it's transitioning. Awesome. But, it's really just standing in why you're here and having the confidence to move forward. For me, my Facebook group, there's a lot of my old church friends that are on there. So for me to start speaking woo, that's a step out for me, but I'm willing to do it because, all the downloads I've received and what Source has been sharing with me, this is my path and I'm provided for it. Even those other people, whether they choose to follow or not, what happens if now they're getting downloads or they're having their spiritual awakening, they know what I stand for and they trust me. So then they'll come to me in a DM and say, hey, can you walk me through this? Like, I'm starting to get these things, or these new things are coming on board that I don't really understand. This is so big right now. So any healers that are out there, people who have, consciousness is in them and they understand it and they're meditating, if you have questions, DM us. We'll teach you, how you can do that within your own business or create one, because there are so many people who need us. And, as Dr. G said, they need us to stand up as we are in 2021. And so does our business, because of the shift and the transition and moving into that more feminine energy of the age of Aquarius. But for me, I feel it's the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and what that's going to look like going forward, because we do need both, and you have to have both for creation. So it's just, whatever we're creating, both have to exist. Masculine energy, there's a time to go and there, sales or whatever, moving forward in your business. But then with the feminine energy, being creative, taking that step back, meditating, going within, both of those now will exist in business. And, we're those coaches here who already know that, we embody that, and that's what we want to help, others with within the Healing Soul School and within the programs.
Yeah, and I agree. I know people talk a lot about feminine right now in the 2021, it absolutely has to be a balance. But I think that the emphasis is on the feminine because there's such an imbalance. And I know I've talked about this on yesterday. Time is so weird. I'm like, was that yesterday we did Ray of Light? It was. Oh my gosh. And about healing the pelvic floor. And so much of that is like women really reclaiming our feminine because we've shut it down. You know, I mean, you know, especially Virginia's, like my mom, for, you know, that older age group of like, no, we had to fit in. We had to fit into the masculine world, the corporate world. We had to do like, you know, do this thing. And essentially the feminine was like, and now it's like, okay, can we let this feminine like blossom and then merge it so that we do need we absolutely need both. It's like what's yin and yang, and, you know, like that there has to be flow. There's not just light. There has to be some dark to balance it. Right now, the world is shifting from more light coming in because we're really ready to rebalance it too. So I absolutely agree that the feminine is coming in because it's been so imbalanced. It's been off. It's been the patriarchy. It's been a hierarchy. It's been control. And now the feminine flow is like, hey, that's for Anna. Like, how do I have fun in my business? That's how we start to have fun. If it's not bringing this flow, if I'm just like doing and chasing and going, but I'm not going in, then that's masculine, right? So it's really important to have that too. So, yeah, anything else we want to bring forward today for just business conversation or hot seat conversations?
I was just going to add to that you're exactly right. And that has been something, bringing the feminine in, allowing the feminine in, and for her to kind of step up. I look at myself, and you know, I worked for over 20 years in a male dominated industry. So I had to step up and walk with the big boys to be successful, right? And yeah, like, you know, you can't cry, and, you know, you can't, like, all that was squashed, you know, you're just not allowed to do that. And, you know, and then as it evolved, when, you know, becoming a boss and a manager of both men and women, and understanding how to work with them and allowing them to have their feminine come in, and you know, and for me, that's been, and I'm still working on it. Because it's, you know, you spend over 20 years squashing her down. You know, what I find interesting is that when it comes to something for my health or the health of my family, or, you know, that's something that I'm passionate about, she doesn't sit back and, you know, and let the masculine go, well, you can't do this. And, you know, she's like, hell no, I said no. Right. So and I see this struggle within my own, you know, consciousness, that the man wants to be that, you know, that dominated, I'm making the decisions, and my feminine side is just like, okay, and just kind of goes with it. But then when there's something that she's passionate about, that she's like, nope, on the masculine, I'm rising up for this. I've got something to say. And, you know, and I think it's just allowing that and nurturing that and letting that come out, because the world needs a lot more of it.
Mm-hmm. And men do too, right? So men actually, it's a balance between the women rising and men being allowed the feminine flow within them, because as we need that balance, they do too. So it's this expression of themselves, allowing in more trust. You know, like my husband is great at a lot of things, and then the flow isn't like, he can receive like amazingly, but there's some trust. There's like some things that haven't been nourished because that's not manly, or that's not how it is. So it's integrated like within each of us, and then also within our businesses. And how do we really find that flow, and the soul aligned clients and soul aligned action, and all of that gets to be intermixed with that feminine and masculine, and starting by going within and meditating and getting clear, you know, who am I here to serve today? What can I generate today? Having questions, getting curious, instead of, if we don't have a question for the day, within ourselves, within our business, then it feels a little bit more stuck. How am I going to reach those? I mean, even how am I going to reach those people? That's still a little limiting, but like, I always ask, like, how does it get even better than this? Or what message am I sharing today for the greater impact?
Client hanging out.
Yeah. So yeah,
lots of empowering questions. Oops, sorry. One thing I just want to mention on these masculine and the feminine is I feel that there's a little bit of a mix up on the masculine as far as the patriarchal, where it's, that dominance. True divine masculine is protection and security, and there's a gentleness in there mixed with the feminine. So it's the two there, because there's a lot of masculine wounds that are, and feminine too, that are looking to be healed, but really knowing what the true divine masculine energy is, when we're differentiating, because it's not that tyrant or the principal, or that kind of a harsher figure. The masculine, divine masculine is very different. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we're good for today. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to discuss.
I think we're good. I think we'll wrap everything up tomorrow. And tomorrow is I think I wrote on the schedule, a magical day where we really recap. We bring everything together with what we talked about through last week, through this weekend. So much. And then, if people didn't feel like if you're missing some key links and really how to spiritualize your business or align with your woo, or really come out of who you are, or not out of who you are, but out as who you are. And, we want you to stay who you are, but come out more as far as being seen, then we can definitely do some questions in those as well. So that will be 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, that we'll have that offering.
Cool. If you have any questions from today's topic, pop them in the comments down below, and then we'll address them tomorrow. We're on the live. I'll check tomorrow before we come live, and then we'll answer any questions that you have as we have our wrap up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yay.
Okay.
Great. All right, everyone.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Take care.